Hello and welcome to today's Love Island live chat from radiotimes.com. I'm Susanna Lazarus.
And I'm Ellie Harrison.
And the villa left us on quite a big cliffhanger last night, didn't it? We were left hanging.
We really were. I thought the big reveal was going to happen last night, but alas, they always keep you coming back for more.
They
those
know
producers.
what they're doing, don't they?
They do.
Those producers.
Had a bit of practice, yeah. It seems like Kieran, Idris and Dr. Alex's fate is all lying in the hands of new girl Alexandra.
And what power she has. Although she's not really relishing that power, is it? I think she feels the pressure. Obviously, Dr. Alex has been in there since the very start. He's held in very high regard by his fellow islanders, and they always seem pretty desperate to keep him in there. And then you've got these new boys, Kieran and Idris, kind of desperately grafting.
Peeping and creeping, yeah. to put it harshly, potentially. But yeah, so essentially what's happening is tonight there's a big recoupling. The girls will have the power to choose which boys they want to stay with. People are completely rooting for Alex to be chosen. He seems at the moment to be the cat with nine lives a little bit. He's kind of saved potentially by lots of girls throughout the series on a sympathy vote, but then unfortunately within kind of a couple of days they realise it's not to be and he gets dropped again. It's really hard to tell which way Alexandra's going to go, and you're right, she actually got quite emotional in the beach hut last night about having to make the decision between the three boys. I don't know, who do you think that she's leaning towards?
I do think she's leaning towards Alex. I think she's made a point of talking a lot about her connection with Alex and how she wants that. She said, I think, to either Kieran or Idris, it's about more than aesthetics.
Yeah.
And if we are looking at who she seems to connect with, I would certainly say that's Alex, because Alex is good at I'd say he's good at making a first impression. I sort of feel like he fires questions at someone over and over and then runs out of questions, and that's the point where it becomes quite awkward. But he's certainly, he's managed to woo people in the early stages before. I also think that she, like I said, I think she's feeling the pressure from everyone else. That would be quite a hard place to be in that villa if you sent Alex home.
Completely. Also, she seems so nervous. She entered on her own very late in the game, had to take boys on dates before even meeting everyone else in the villa. Like, she did seem really nervous. Another thing to note is obviously her mum has said to her, choose a doctor. So that will be preying on her mind. I think, though, it did seem like she might be slightly swayed because of Idris's insane dance moves last night.
Did you like those moves?
I found it very intimidating.
I wasn't sure about that. I was like, whoa, Idris.
Same.
This is ultimate try hard, isn't it?
It was proper Magic Mike, but everyone seemed to love it in the villa, and my housemates were both like, wow, he really nailed it there. And I think you and I agreed. It was just a bit over the top. It was a bit.
Yeah,
it was
I wasn't
too cringy.
into it. It wasn't for me.
But it seemed like it could make Alexandra's head turn, but obviously that he is in that way complete opposite of Dr. Alex, so she needs it's a Marmite choice.
See, I don't think these new boys for me are particularly up to scratch. I think it's not like she's got a choice between Dr. Alex, who she's got sympathy for, and then this devastatingly wonderful man who's come in and swept her off her feet. Idris and Kieran both, it's almost a bit much, they're trying so hard and they keep kind of taking her aside for chats but it's all quite wooden. I don't really feel any chemistry there. So I wouldn't be that surprised if she went for Alex, not because she feels some sort of burning passion for him, but because the other options don't really seem much better.
Viable. Also because Alex seems much more genuine, whereas Idris and Kieran just seem like they've suddenly realised, hang on a minute, I might not have a place in the villa. I think, as you mentioned earlier, Kieran had gone in really hard for Georgia, and then when she realised, after she told him several times, I'm not interested, he then immediately changed tack and went for new girl Alexandra. So if we can see that, she'll be able to see that too, and that's not genuine.
I hope so. And it's hard, isn't it? Because all of the other couples, we went through a phase recently where everything seemed up in the air and in turmoil, and then suddenly everything is very locked down. You've got couples like Danny and Jack, and Wes and Megan, and
Josh and
Kaz, and even Jack and Laura. There's no way they're not going to pick each other.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's all quite nailed on. So it really is a 3-man race for one girl.
Yeah.
And then the other two are going to be sent packing. So either we're going to have last in, first out situation, or we're going to have a real Love Island veteran packing his bags.
Yeah, there'll be uproar, I think, about that.
I think Jack will be seriously upset.
Oh, yeah, they're buddies. Old Jack and Dr. Alex, yeah.
No more Jack pep talks. I would miss that. I think that's a reason alone for Alexandra to keep Alex in, so he keeps getting pep talks from people.
For our own viewing entertainment. Also, just to keep hearing him say hail, just like out of the blue.
I actually found myself saying that the other day. I was like, Alex, what are you doing to me?
Too many hours of Love Island in our lives.
Obviously, we've got, these, we were talking about rock solid couples. Another couple, which has been a bit of a dark horse couple, I would say, are Charlie and Ellie. They met when Ellie, when the boys and the girls were split up. The boys went to Casa Amor, the girls stayed in the villa, and 6 new boys came in to try and turn their eye. Or turn their head, I think is the official phrase.
Yeah.
And Ellie and Charlie hooked up, and they seem to have been going pretty strong ever since. And Charlie has a big question for Ellie tonight. Ellie, why don't you explain it?
Yes, so obviously he's seen all the other boys coupling up, well, officially becoming boyfriend and girlfriend with the girls that were in the villa. Charlie's feeling the pressure, and the way that he wants to ask Ellie to be his girlfriend is to write, I think it's "Will you be my girlfriend?" on pen on his chest, and put a shirt over it, and then get old Jack to accidentally, on purpose, spill a drink on his shirt, so he has to rip it off, and Ellie can see the question written across his chest. I would run 100 miles.
I was going to ask what you do.
Oh my gosh, yeah. See, this Ellie is saying no, but I have a feeling.
But will Love Island Ellie say yes?
Oh, who knows? What would you say? To the socialite.
Yeah, I think it would be a hard no from me.
Yeah.
And like a little applause for inventiveness, maybe, because who has ever asked anyone out that way?
And you couldn't not laugh.
No. I wonder what she's going to do. I'd be intrigued.
Know.
I think she'll probably say yes.
I think she'll burst into laughter and then be like, yeah, you silly.
Also, to be quite cynical, this is the point in the show where people start really firming up their relationship situations because they've got their eye on the final, which is in a very short 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, just weeks away.
And they're thinking, right, if I'm in a solid couple, we're official, I've got a better chance of winning. And that is, I mean, that's true. Look at the couples who were in the final last year. They were pretty much all locked on official couples.
By this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think, Charlie and Ellie, who I would never call favourites for this prize, are suddenly thinking, okay, if we cement a relationship.
Yeah. Make it seem
Can they take on Danny and Jack? I think probably not.
No, but there's been lots of talk of potentially Josh and Kaz overtaking Danny and Jack. Because, I mean, Danny and Jack have literally been favourites since day one. And suddenly, people have kind of forgotten that Josh didn't treat George that well. Josh and Kaz are pretty loved up. And they're both, like, popular people in the villa, so who knows?
It's kind of hard to hate Josh, really, because he was right in that he was in an impossible situation there where he was in Casa Amor and literally could not tell Georgia what was happening.
No.
And then also he and Kaz are so into each other.
Yeah. It's not like he obviously left it and it was worth it, sort of thing.
It's not a Megan situation.
No, exactly. Gosh. Also happening in tonight's episode, the tweet game is back to cause more havoc in the villa. What was it that happened last year?
Last year, if you remember correctly, caused real fireworks in the villa because if you remember the tweet challenge correctly, it's where clever Love Island producers take a load of tweets from people about the show and blank out certain words and get Islanders to guess which names might fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
So last year, they used a tweet from Stormzy saying, blank, she's not good enough for you, mate.
Yeah.
And it was Chris. And it was Stormzy slagging off Olivia. And I think Olivia, up to that point, hadn't quite realised how she was portrayed or how she was being received by the public.
Yeah.
And that was a real light bulb moment, and it caused big arguments.
Completely, because not only was she being slagged off, she was being slagged off by Stormzy, so that's kind of national embarrassment.
Kick in the teeth,
yeah, you can tell how many retweets that's going to get, and she wasn't happy.
To our knowledge, there are no famous tweeters this year, but that doesn't mean there's a shortage of good tweets. I've got a few here. I'm going to read them out. You can maybe have a guess as to who you think they're saying. So that's blank and blank are like brother and sister, no chemistry.
So I probably would have said Charlie and Ellie, But maybe that's just because we haven't seen much of them. I don't think they've done bits, etc. They seem quite cute. Also, they look so alike. So I can imagine maybe tweeting that. What did the Islanders go for?
Well, interestingly, some of them did say Charlie and Ellie,
Yeah.
but others went with Sam and Georgia. And I can see that because that's my instinct. But what's particularly interesting about this challenge is that you see what the Islanders actually think of each other, because you've got to remember, we're seeing an edited version of this. There's been a lot of furore in the last few days about how much we actually saw of Samira and Frankie's relationship and how it was potentially a little more intense than we as viewers perceived it based on what we saw on TV. So this is interesting that they think that Ellie and Charlie are like brother and sister and there isn't much chemistry, because personally what I've seen of them so far, there does seem to be a connection there, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reveals much more about the dynamics within the villa than you would imagine, like, for such a simple game.
Exactly. I won't get you to guess this, but I think one which could see some potential ructions later on today is Meg is like a giant blank. Watch out, boys, she'll eat you alive.
Yeah, I don't trust myself to fill in those two blanks.
Okay, this one isn't that hard. Love how Georgia goes on about how she is blank and then flirts with other guys but tries to justify it by saying she is keeping Sam blank.
Yeah.
So it goes on about how she is
loyal
and tries to justify it by saying she's keeping Sam
on his toes,
which is exactly what the fellow Islanders guessed.
So satisfying that they're noticing it too.
Another favourite, please make Danny Dyer come into the villa and confront Jack over sleeping with 50 girls plus blank.
So this was quite funny because some of the Islanders thought it would be 50 girls plus 30, i.e. 80, and others thought it was plus cheating because of his slightly, maybe questionable dating history. I think it could be the canvas, the famous canvas that's above his bed. But I don't know why Danny Dyer want to question him about it.
These all link back to moments early on in the series. I remember she was pretty horrified by him saying how many people he had slept with when that challenge occurred early in the series, and then he later admitted to the beach hut later on that it was a much higher number. So yeah, I wonder, knowing Danny's track record, this is going to send her brain whirring.
Yeah,
She's going to start stressing. So clever producers, or cruel. I mean, maybe a little bit cruel. But the tweet that really causes ructions in tonight's episode is, blank isn't even convincing himself he's into blank, let alone me. The Islanders unanimously agree on which couple they think this refers to. Jack isn't even convincing himself he's into Laura, let alone me. Even Jack and Laura vote for themselves for this, but later on it causes some problems in the villa after the challenge has ended.
Yeah, I think Laura's feeling extra sensitive recently because obviously her and Jack have been through a pretty rocky road, and they're only just getting back on track when either someone else steals a man or someone else kind of casts doubt on their relationship, and that's what happens in tonight's episode. There's a real lack of confidence in Jack's feelings for Laura from everyone in the villa, and she speaks to the girls when they're getting ready, doing their hair, Laura does, and she says, I know that I voted for us as well, but why do you think everyone else did? Do you guys not think Jack's into me? And Kaz, rather brazenly it seems, says, mate, it's pretty obvious, I'm sorry, we just wanted to be honest, I don't think he's into you. Which Laura did not appreciate, especially just how forthright Kaz was with it, and she was saying, I'm going to be honest. So there does tension bubbles between those two girls, and kind of Kaz gets frustrated because she thinks that Laura's being oversensitive and that people aren't able to speak their mind in front of her. To be honest, I think if I was Laura and someone was saying that to me, I'd think, all right, well, there's a way of saying it, if you're looking out for me, fair enough, but it's a bit harsh from Kaz, I think. No, especially because she's kind of got the cream with Josh.
Well, exactly. I think Laura accuses her of being on her high horse a little, which I think would be fair. I mean, and also I can see how you might say that if you were feeling pretty protective of your own kind of broken relationship and you were looking at this couple who at least make themselves out to be the ideal. I think there's two sides to the argument here, aren't there? You've got Laura, who I totally understand all her insecurities. She has been screwed over more than anyone else in this villa. But I also get Kaz's side of, you asked and I gave you an answer.
Yeah,
I was quite brutally honest, but that's what you asked for. She has it's a fair point. But I think Laura naturally is feeling even more defensive of her relationship than she was in the first place.
And also, unfortunately, I think tonight we also see Jack saying, oh God, if everyone did choose us, is that saying something? I can't ignore that people are saying that. So I don't know if this is another obstacle that those two can get through.
And there's Laura then saying, well, I don't need to have the perfect relationship in here as long as it lasts after we leave the villa. quite whether it will last after they leave the villa is another question. I would say that when you've got this many cracks in your kind of honeymoon phase, then where is this really going?
Yeah, no, that's true. It'll have to be pretty sturdy, especially when you get out, because then it's just intense. Your whole life changes, and
exactly.
all eyes on you.
So Love Island viewers will obviously see all of that happen tonight, and then they'll have to wait until Sunday to see the outcome of this kind of juncture in their relationship. We, as always, at Radio Times will be covering all of the Love Island action over the weekend. We will be back on Monday for another live chat. Have a great weekend yourselves. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.